For all of you who are tweeting tonight, please just use Hive Data hashtag or our Twitter handle Hive Data. The Hive think tank is a forum for thought leadership. We focus on two things, on entrepreneurship and all things data. We have in our community 8,000 data-driven innovators. They consist of data scientists, developers, corporate users, entrepreneurs. Since our inception, we organized over 150 events with over 200 speakers. Thanks to all of you who came to our event, and thanks to all of you who came here for the first time. 2015 was a very successful year for us. These are just few speakers that were on the Hive stage. We had organized 29 events with over 7,000 attendees. All our upcoming events you can find on our website at hivedata.com or at our meetup page that you registered for tonight's event through. These are just few lined up until June. Our March is super busy. We have every week one event. Maybe just to mention the one fireside chat with Steve Blank, and Hadoop is turning 10, and it will be organized by end of March. So all of them you can find on our meetup page and the website. So without them, without partners and sponsors, many of our events wouldn't have happened, so we'd like to thank to all of them as well. With this, I'd like to invite managing partner and co-founder of the Hive, TM Ravi, to share more about the Hive.
Thank you, Sasha. So first, how many of you came from RSA? How many of you were there at RSA today? Awesome, so good, thank you for coming. I know it's an exhausting day. So I'd like to first kind of specially welcome our friends from the Hive Brazil who are also here this week. A large investor in the Hive, Verizon, Mark Smith from Verizon, and kind of all of our good friends. The Hive is a co-creation entity where we help entrepreneurs create companies, fund, and launch these companies. And so we are often called a venture studio, so we tend to put $1.5 million to $2 million up front in a company and keep some money in reserve. Focused primarily on data-driven businesses across IoT, online, and enterprise. And you can see some of our themes up there. These are themes for 2016. And so security and privacy is one of those themes. We have, I think, 19 startups, and so a couple of them are hiring, one in the blockchain space. So this is basically how do you do kind of risk management, compliance, KYC, AML in kind of blockchain-related infrastructures. So if you're interested, please let us know. Neva is building software robots that will help automate a number of business processes and enterprises. So if you're interested, let us know. Hope you can tweet tonight, use the hashtag HiveData. With that, I'd like to, we have a great panel today, so I'd like to just kind of mention who they are. Yaniv Harel is General Manager of Cyber Solution Group at EMC. Professor Shlomi Dolev, we spent the last few days together from Ben-Gurion University. Kobi Freedman, who's co-founder CEO of Comilion, I hope I'm saying that right. And Doron Kolton, who's the founder CEO of TopSpin Security. So the format for tonight is Yaniv will kind of take the stage, and each of he and the other speakers will present for about 7-8 minutes each. We'll follow that with a panel discussion and then open it out for Q&A. So join us on Twitter, hashtag Hive Data. And with that, if I can have Yaniv on the stage.
Okay, good evening, and I'm very happy to be here with you. And I would like, in the next few minutes, to share with you several trends that we see in the cyber arena, as well as a little bit about our cyber solutions group. And later on, we'll invite the other speakers that will be very happy to ask some questions. Now, we'll run it briefly in a high speed, so fasten your seatbelt and let's start. And you know, we talk about the cyber phenomenon, the cyber revolution, and we are very excited of it, but we are kind of concerned of the challenges that the cybersecurity brings to us. The fact that the perimeter is not anymore the answer for these challenges. The fact that the attackers have kind of nation capabilities that in the past we could think that only nations have them. We can we can buy or rent in a very cheap prices both groups or both networks, and we can buy in a very cheap prices credentials. Just choose what bank or credit card you prefer, and we can arrange it from the darknet. Actually, in every part of our IT, we cannot say that we are totally protected. Even the user that we know him for years, we are not sure, and we see today a lot of new challenges and new threats, also not in the IT arena, but in others. In all these challenges, sometimes we think that we can manage it globally, but later on we understand that it's really a complicated challenge, and we are not sure that we already achieved it. So in these challenges, when we try to look what are the trends that our industry is focusing at today, or what are the trends that we believe that are going to be in the several next years, so these are the trends that we see at the moment. And of course, data and data-driven capabilities are part of almost all of them, and I would like to say a few words about each one of them. So the first trend is the automation. You know, we spent, looks a little bit different. We spent about a decade to collect a lot of sensing and alerts to our security operations centers, and today we have so many alerts that no one, and even the most talented operators or analysts cannot handle this amount of signals that go into our centers, and we have no other chance than to put machines and automation in the next few years to handle most of the signals and to let our operators take care only of the most complicated questions that the machine having problem to solve by itself. The second trend is the collaboration, and we think that today, at the moment, we are every organization and every company trying to cope and to protect against all the threats by itself. But when we think about it, we would prefer that in every kind of threat or attack way that they attack one of the organizations, we would prefer that it will be kind of a collaborative knowledge that other organizations will be able to hold it and to share between the others. This is the collaboration trend that we believe that it's going to be very important in the next few years, between different organizations and between different functions in the organization. This is part of the trends that we are going to hear later on. about a company that develops such kind of technology to support this trend. The third one is the visual and shared resources, the virtual and shared resources that we see all over, and this revolution also brings with itself a lot of security challenges. We are sharing resources, we are sharing tenants, we have to be able to secure our processes and tenants between shared resources and between the same infrastructure that we use. And we haven't said a word about IoT, mobile, and of course cloud, which are all part of this trend. The fourth one is what we call fighting the unknown. You know, for many years, the idea was that we have antivirus. The antivirus collect the signature of known attacks, and then this kind of knowledge is the way how to stop the same attack that will appear later. But today, we cannot promise that the attack that someone at the moment planned, it's an attack that someone in other place already familiar with, and it was shown in other places in the world. That's why we have to be prepared for attacks that no one know them from the past. And that's why we, at the moment in the world and in the next few years, we're going to develop ways of how to be able to protect against attacks that no one really know them. So we prepare technologies like anomaly detection. We prepare technologies of how to make sure that even if the attack find us not ready, that the damage will be, we're trying to minimize the damage. We are using more intelligence, and we believe that also simulation is part of the ways to cope with the unknown. When I say we, so I would like to say a few words about who are we, and to share with you about the EMC Cyber Solutions Group. So actually, we are not the group of EMC, the company, but we are the group of the EMC Federation. The EMC Federation that includes the EMC VMware Pivotal, which hosting us today, RSA and others. We are the solutions group of the Federation. We are not part of any one of the companies, but we are in a very good relations with all of them. We use the products and the technologies of the companies, and we develop solutions based on their products and technologies and our original capabilities and technologies. We are located, our base, the R&D group located in Israel, in Be'er Sheva, which was announced as the cyber capital of Israel, with a nice ecosystem of university, companies, and governmental institutions. And we are very, very much positive about collaborating with the other companies, big companies, as well as startups. We have in Israel more than 200 startups focusing in security, so many of them are with very good relations with us and are being part of our solution. And at the same time, we are very much believe in collaboration with the academy, in which we also run researches and other things with the academy. We are focusing in 3 pillars. One is the simulation that I mentioned before. We believe that simulation is part of the way that we can test things, not in the production network, but in simulation environment, and can understand the way of how attack can harm us or other way. I can show you here that if this is our data center or IT infrastructure, we are taking a segment of this IT to simulation environment. We attack it with the extreme attack tools in automatic way, and from what we learn, we improve the production network. This is the main idea. and we can see here the blueprint and the network that we really test. And here are the scenarios and the attack capability that we test this blueprint, and we can see what can happen if such attacks are going to catch us or to attack us one day. So this technology, and at the moment it's installed in several EMC and EMC Federation companies, and it will be launched in the near future. We are also involved in what we call SOC and CERT projects. SOC, it's the Security Operations Center. Of course, you're familiar with it. And SOC, it's what we call in Israel as the sectorial or national centers for cyber threats handling, etc. We develop a CERT concept with the components and the architecture that's relevant to such centers, and in big tenders that our government issued for the Israeli national CERT, we had the honor to be in the winning coalition. So today we implement this project as the Israeli national CERT, as well as another project of the infrastructure, water and energy CERT, that we are also in the winning coalition, and nowadays we're creating or making this project to be real and operational. It's of course connected also to methodology and the processes that are supposed to be part of such a CERT, and today it's something that goes also out of our country. The third pillar, which I will not elaborate since the time limit, is the cloud security, in which we are focusing in the private cloud, from the architectural part to specific components to that pillar. So this is generally what I wanted to share with you in a brief description of the cyber trends and what is the focus of our group that combine the best of breed of global corporate with the Israeli innovation and what we can work in the Beersheba new ecosystem. So thank you very much for this. I would like to say just a word about our event here, that we took the cyber or the security and the privacy as the topic to focus this evening. And when we see this challenge of one person that in the past created this amount of content, and today producing much more amount of data and more data-driven or other things, there is much more what to steal from this data, and we would like to secure all this data, but it is complicated since the data is not at the same place but spread in many places, and if we want to secure it, so sometimes we have to pay with the privacy. I think that the topic that we are going to discuss here bring the two items of security and privacy, which sometimes they are on the same coherent direction, in which we say, yes, we want to secure our data, and in that sense the security and privacy go to the same direction, but sometimes we say we want those that try to keep or to secure us, they want to use our privacy in order to improve the security. In that sense, it's the other directions. And I think this dilemma will be part of what we are going to discuss later, and I think it is going to be very interesting. And I'll have the honor to invite the first speaker, Shlomi Dolev, Professor Shlomi Dolev. I want to share with you that Shlomi was the founder and the first department head of computer science department in Ben-Gurion University in Beersheba. His publications include more than 250 books, conferences, journals, and patents. He served as the head of the Inter-University Computation Center for Israel for 6 years, and today he is the co-founder and board member of a secret double octopus that I believe he will share with us. Please, Shlomi.
Thank you very much. So, I want you to feel in class. I will tell you some stories. And I hope you enjoy it. So, I want to concentrate on Apple versus FBI, which is some tension between privacy and the way to just look at criminal and actions that terrorists can do, and we need some balance in this. So this will take me to some new magical tools that cryptography has. And I will not try to teach you these tools, which are very useful when you need new kind of, solve new kind of problems in society, okay? So one of the tools is secret sharing, and this tool is used in Secret Double Octopus in the company that my partner are here, Raz and Amit, that we just started, and I will tell you the concept, the mathematical concept that it's based on. So consider a line in the XY plane, and I give you a point, x equals 4, y equals 4. Do you know how to plot the line? There are many options, right? If you look at the point, there are so many options, you have no clue how the lines look like. Now, I give your best friend another point, x equals 2 and y equals 2, and he doesn't know either how the line look like. But, so he can be confused just as you. But then I let you meet, and then you know exactly how the line look like. And the secret is where the star is. It's 0, okay? It's where the line just cross the y-axis. Okay, so this is the starting point for a new paradigm that will eventually replace PKI. You know, Diffie-Hellman got the Turing Award. Now they have nothing to lose, we can do something instead. So what we try to do is not to use keys at all, because keys have to be stored somewhere. They are in a safe, everybody tries to steal them, and they are eventually stolen. And you don't know that they are stolen, and then all your communication is clear text. Moreover, 128 bits were enough a few years ago. Now they are not, so all communication done with 128 bits is clear text today. So what will be with 256? Wait a few years, and let's see what will happen. So we don't want keys. We want this kind of encryption that was done in the Second World War, in which you use a one-time pad. So you have a booklet, and as you can see, what we just secure is the data in motion. So data that moves from one point to another, and this is what Secret Double Octopus is doing. And this is some of the motivation. Like Bruce Schneier says, there are a lot of mathematical tricks involved in public key cryptography, and absolutely no theory that provides any limits on how powerful these tricks can be. In some sense, there is no proof to the existence of one-way functions, which RSA and Diffie-Hellman are based on. So, and there are advances in the NSA to solve these problems, and maybe somebody knows how to solve them, or will know. So this is not something to base the entire internet and commercial activity on. So for another quote is from Alex Stamos from the CSO of Facebook, that say RSA and classic Diffie-Hellman encryption schemes, which are used to protect banking, e-commerce, email, and even OS updates, will not be usable in 4 to 5 years. And he said it's 3 years ago. So we don't have to wait too much, right? So again, what I wanted to introduce is just to use the classical provable way of sending messages that cannot be, decrypted without having the shared booklet or shared one-time pad that was used in wars or used in the phone between the red phone between the US and Russia. So instead of having this booklet carried by some agent, you take it in a briefcase, you may send it in a different channel. So we have several channels. One, the booklet goes through, the other is XOR with the booklet. Both of them are totally random, and the two endpoints can see the information. Well, I made it simplified because I told you before that I can do it with secret sharing, which means points on a polynomial, which is more than 2 channels, and can withstand, if I have 3 participants, any 2 of them can define the line. So there is more to this scheme, and we use it in practice to send messages through several channels. Maybe some of them are through cloud, some of them through our servers, and some of them are through channels that are backup channels and main channel. So as you can guess, we are the best. Okay, so this is... and now, how all this is connected to Apple and FBI. So let's say that we agree upon the routes that are chosen, so that one of them is going through Amazon, another through Microsoft, and we believe that coalition of them will act like a jury. So if they agree to reveal the information, both sides agree that it's fine, the government and the user. And this is some kind of game theory that both sides agree that this is a reliable jury. And then if they all somehow collaborate, then you know what was sent. Of course, there are ways not to let them know, but just for the sake of thinking of how a game theory can get into the practice when we need to have some conditional privacy, conditional in the meaning that you don't break the law. Okay, so let me tell you some more cryptographic magic tools, okay? It's a lot of fun, I can tell you. So the next tool is something that is called secure multi-party computation. So we know how now to share some secret. We get some points on a polynomial. And interestingly, we can have 2 secrets spread to 2 participants, and they can do operations on their shares. So, for instance, I give myself, which I call myself x equal 1, the point x1, y1, and another point for another secret, the green secret, x1, y2. And my friend is x equal 4, he get point x4, y4, and another point for another secret, x4, y2. And then, if you look at the secret, the blue secret is 0, because x1, y1, and x4, y4, it's 45 degrees line, so it's cross 0. And x1, equal 1, y equal 2, and x equal 4, y equal 2, means that the line is constantly 2. So we have two secrets, one is 0, and the other is 2. Okay? So this is what the first player knows. He just has 2 points for 2 secrets. And the second has another 2 points for the same secrets. Now if you look at the lines, if they meet, then they see that the blue should be connected to reveal 0 and the green to reveal 2. Is it clear? It will be in the exam. So please be with me. This is easy, right? If they meet, they know the first secret is 0, the second is 2. Now, what is very interesting is that they can compute and add the secret without knowing the secrets. They can know the addition, the sum of them. They just sum their secrets to get the sum, their share in the secret to get the sum of the secret. So, if you look what the first player will do, he will take his 2 shares, S1 and S2, and he will get y equals 3. So this is, he added these 2 shares, and the other guy will add 2 and 4 to get 6. And then what you can see is that the red line also goes through 2. So we added the values without knowing what the secrets are. Just doing this operation addition separately, independently, and get the result. So it's really magic. And moreover, you can also multiply. And if you can multiply, you can do OR and AND. And OR and AND are enough for any computation. And now I can compute. I can compute on data that I don't know and give the result eventually. Okay? So this is more or less, of course, there are issues, but this is more or less the way to, and this is the base for some database that we do over the cloud, private database, that is very interesting. It's secret technology, secret sharing and secret technology, and it is very useful. And in this case, you can search specific information without violating privacy. So again, you can solve some real problem with some magic tool of cryptography. And coming soon, some zero-knowledge proofs, which is another magic tool that cryptography has to offer to society to solve problems that appear now in society. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Dolev. I would like to invite Kobi Freedman, who is the co-founder and CEO of Comilion. Kobi has been immersed in the cybersecurity arena for over 15 years, first in the Israeli Defense Forces and then working with private sector companies. Kobi, please.
Thank you. Hi. My presentation is with no exam at the end. It will be easier material. So, hi, I'm Kobi Freedman, my partner and co-founder here, the CTO of Comilion. Guy Bertine is also here. We will talk about collaboration and privacy issues in cybersecurity. So, in Comilion, we have a mission. When we started Comilion, Guy and myself were trying to think how we can bring the sharing economy into the security world, which is somehow something that is in conflict. People don't like to share. People don't like to collaborate, enterprises as well. But interesting thing is that if you look on the bad guys of the world, they are collaborating. They actually have a very impressive value chain and economics of collaboration and sharing in order to scale in order to attack better. And it was unacceptable to us that this kind of value that is created in other traditional sectors is not be also implemented in security. So this is basically our vision, to bring it into the security world. And our mission is to create environments or technologies which will enable internal and external security teams to collaborate, and through this to be able to hunt for bad guys much faster, and through that give the world the ability to be much more protected. If we look on the cybersecurity world from like a wide angle, we see that it's changing. There is some kind of a paradigm shift within the security world, from a situation that in the last decades people were relying on their budgets and their ability to defend themselves alone, to the understanding that you no longer need and able to defend yourself with your budget. It's not sufficient enough compared to the magnitude of threats out there, and the fact that bad guys are just exploiting the fact that you are similar to another friend of yours and just attacking one organization after another, and relying on the fact that you don't share or collaborate and no one knows that you've been hit. It's been shifting slowly and lately much faster into a more collaborative environment, community-driven security. This is the kind of opportunity we see and want to answer with our technology. But if you want to take collaboration capabilities to the formal enterprise grade rather than the personal, the interpersonal level, you see that you're facing several families of challenges. So the first family of challenges is around trust. People don't trust each other, enterprise don't trust each other, and no one trusts the vendor that want to supply them something. So how do you create a standard technology which will be provided to basically everyone eventually, and still can be used in order to collaborate when people don't trust each other? So tricky thing. The second family of challenges is around process. So we see in the last few years many vendors and startup companies and large companies providing threat intelligence, for example, and the amount of data that people and enterprise are consuming is enormous, and the amounts of false positives and the amounts of overlap between the data, and basically people buy this kind of product based on their belief or nice face of one salesperson rather another, and they have real problem to understand what's more effective than others. So there is an issue of effectiveness and efficiency and process here. And last but not least is the issue of compliance of organizations, and this combines from the fact that people want to be in control of their sensitive data, and they want to meet their compliance and regulatory needs, and this aligns also with privacy issues. If we look on sharing and collaboration, which is, I think, an interesting place to look at within the security world, so if I want to share with you guys a piece of information in the security world, several regulations may affect this piece of data needed to be transferred from one place to another. So just to give you a sense of it, if someone attacks a bank, Deutsche Bank in Germany, and he wants to announce Deutsche Bank in the US, for example, there is a real issue here. Why? Because IP address in Germany perceived to be privacy regulated data. It cannot be shared outside of Germany without several things to happen. More than that, because of data protection regulation, you cannot transfer data from Europe to the US. Vice versa, you can't do that. There is an arrangement called Safe Harbor, which was cancelled by European Union Court a month ago and now negotiated once again. And there are antitrust regulation. Few banks are being attacked, want to collaborate. What can they do when they compete at the same time? So how they help each other and still screw each other at the same time? A real problem. So getting a bit focused on privacy, which is the issue here. Are you familiar with CISA regulation that's been signed a month ago? So CISA is for the Cyber Information Sharing Act, which was debated and negotiated for a few years and finally signed into law, I think 6 weeks ago or something like this. Basically what CISA is doing is giving companies liability protection and enabling them to share information at larger scale with the government and between each other and a few other things. But the major concern was about privacy, because on the one hand people understand they want to share information and it will be good for them. On the other hand, if they share information and infringe privacy issues, they might be exposed to certain liabilities. So when we want to share privacy-related data, we ask ourselves, what is the kind of information we want to share? Who is the receiver of this data? And CISA and privacy regulations allow people to share information if they anonymize the data, if they do certain things with the data before they share or do certain things after they share, and also US government is entitled, or DHS is entitled to do certain things if you infringe privacy issues regarding sharing with other law enforcement agencies. So there are quite a lot of issues around privacy-related data sharing. To cut a long story short, what we've developed in Comilion is a platform which we see as like the building blocks of sharing capabilities, enabling people to take those building blocks and build their own sharing environment, like exclusive communities, coming from the belief that we don't need to be like a central place of trust or to be the place that standardize the way people share. On the contrary, give the people the flexibility to set up their own playing ground and through that be able to define what they want to share and what's not. Combine that with the ability to integrate with their security appliances, with their data environment, so we can automate correlations and relevancy all the time, so people could be much more concrete with the sharing, and it will no longer be a nice to have something, but really an effective tool. We combine that with anonymization capabilities, with data ownership capabilities, so we do in that regard a pretty cool thing. Even though I gave you people the piece of data I want to share, I still remain the owner of the data. So if I made a mistake, for example, I can revoke the data. Through that, we create like exclusive networks which are not exposed to any third party, and people still remain in control with their data, and through that build trust in untrusted environment. This is it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kobi. Our last speaker is Doron Kolton, the founder and the CEO of TopSpin Security. Doron is a 25 years veteran of the data security market. He was in charge of web application firewall development as the VP product and engineering of Bridge Security that was acquired by Trustwave, and he was the head of the software department at Motorola Semiconductor and at Radwell. Please go.
Hi. glad to be here, present TopSpin and its product. I would like to just to share you a nice example that I heard about the security in our world today. So, 30 or 20 years ago, when somebody wanted to steal money from a bank, he had to go to the bank, break in during, you saw all those movies during the weekend, and break the bank, and then he wanted to go to another bank, he had to do the same, etc., etc. Today, he actually needs to write a nice piece of code, and he can try to break into few thousands banks using the same piece of code. So this is more or less where the security arena is. And that actually brings me to the, situation that today, no matter what kind of prevention mechanism companies are setting, at the end of the day, you will have infected assets inside the organization, and you need to find those infected assets as soon as possible. Those are a nice example of known companies that for sure they had the latest and greatest technology, and still they got hacked and the data was stolen out of them. Which means that, again, no matter what kind of prevention mechanism you have, at the end of the day, you're going to lose some data. Few examples are, you take your laptop home and you get infected. There's many ways to evade the current technology. Even the latest sandbox can be evaded easily. And actually, what we have seen in several examples is that companies are buying software, and unluckily those software include malware. And those software are going and sending stuff home. Lenovo, it wasn't a malware, but Lenovo shipped laptop with software that was communicating home. So you have the infection, and the goal is really to try to limit the time between the infection until the detection, so the damage to the organization will be much lower. Gartner are talking about the budget will be moving from prevention to detection from 20% today, it would be 60%. What TopSpin is doing is actually trying to combine several technologies into one product, starting with deception and detection, doing it at the same time. So the industry call it offensive deception, which means that we are trying to deceive the attacker in several layers. So it would be on the network layer, so we would set up system in the environment that are not the right system. Then we put application inside the organization that are not the right application. Their goal is to deceive the attacker, to access them, and then we put data that is fake credentials, that its goal is really to bring the attacker into those fake credentials. So on one hand, we have the deception, and on the other hand, we are analyzing all the data that goes out from the organization in order to find the trails of the attacker while he is communicating with the command and control. Our system triggers incident, which means that we are able to take different kind of analysis and correlate events coming from different kind of engines into one incident, or just drop those events. And that relates to what Yaniv said before, that there are too many events that are triggered today by different systems, and those events are being pushed into a SIEM. Unfortunately, the SIEM doesn't have really the context of the event. It just has the event, the time of the event, and where or from which IP address that event was triggered. but the context is missing. You need to have the real context in the event in order to be able to correlate. And since we have that, our correlation works nicely. Then it's important to supply all the forensic information so people can, or that the analyst can really do the work. Some of the issues with security today is that we are missing security expertise and we are missing head counts in order to work on the analysis. And if we provide the real data and enough data, then you can put an engineer, what our sales guy call level 1 engineer, in order to do the analysis and find out whether it's a real incident. Relating to that is to the fact that you don't have enough resources. You need to have very minimal configuration. You have to have very easy analysis, and for deployment should be very, very easy. Just as a schematic view of how it works, then this is an example of one network. We deploy automatically, decoys around the network that fits the relevant system that you have in that network. Those decoys will be system on the network with application. And the big challenge with decoy is really how you bring the attacker into the decoy. So those decoys would publicize themselves all over the network. They tell the network, we are here. They behave like the network. But on top of that, what we are doing, we are using what we call mini traps or breadcrumbs. Those are actually fake credentials that we distribute around the environment, on assets inside the environment that would lead the attacker into the honeypot. And when an attacker gets into a system, he infects the system, he doesn't really know where he is. He starts looking around, he looks at the networks, he looks at the file system, he looks at the registry. So we are planting values, static values in the registry, in the browser, in files, that the malware will find those and will be looking for them in order to find the next hop or finding the interesting data. Then we are looking at the egress data in order to find the communication of the malware with the command and control. Then there's the infection. Infection can happen anytime, before we come, after we come. It's not important. The malware is either going into the Active Directory in order to find interesting data there, doing a scanning, using the mini traps. He then communicates outside to the command and control, and then he fetch a file out of one of our system. We see it on the system, and we see it on the way out from the environment. So this is how in a schematic way, how our system works. Thank you.
Great. Yeah. So, thank you, Doron. So go to the seat there.
You can sit here.
Okay.
If you don't mind.
Please. Great. So I would like to start with the first question, Shlomi Dolev. In the past, encryption was a capability that only nations hold this capability. Today, we use encryption to anyone who go to consume or to use regular technologies. According to your expertise, Are we today safer? Who is winning this arms race?
So I think that having the capability of doing encryption is important. On the other hand, you have to have regulations and standards so that you don't allow to do it in the wrong means and leading to crime or to terror or some other things. And maybe some magical tools of crypto can help here to do revealing of information if law is broken. And there are some schemes like this, that if you do something against the law, it becomes a key to open your data. So it's, there are open issues that come when you have the problem at hand in reality. This is what I have for 5 cents to say about the future of cryptography and technology to serve us.
Thank you. Kobi, you mentioned the fact that although we understand that collaboration is so important, companies tend not to share information, especially not with their competitors. So how you believe that we are going to achieve this goal, although we all agree that it's so important?
So we actually believe that time is changing. People do want to collaborate. They only need the way to do it properly. They want to be able to help each other and still not have the uncomfortable situation of being hurt by another thing like infringing regulation. CISA is dramatically affecting what's going on right now. Situation here is that no one in Bank of America wants that JPMC will fall down. They understand that they're the next target. So on the one hand they compete, yeah, but on the other hand they want to help each other. And the fact is they do help each other, only in a very inefficient way. It needs to evolve.
Thank you. Doron, the deception category that you explained before is kind of a category that the experts debate today if there are no any privacy issues in the fact that the owner of the IT infrastructure hide kind of hidden observer and other things in the network. What is your opinion about this question?
Well, my personal opinion is that it's not really different from other technology that you have today. I mean, IDS and IPS are there. People are talking about deep analysis of the data. So honeypot is not something that, with that respect, is really different from other technologies that you have. Then, you know, there's the fact that we are trying to lure the attacker to get into the honeypot. So the normal employee in the organization is not supposed to get into the honeypot. The honeypot is there, or the mini traps are there, but if an employee is doing his day-to-day work, he's not going to get trapped and go into the honeypot. On top of that, I think that, well, there are different kinds of honeypot that work it's called low interaction honeypot or high interaction honeypot. So it also depends what kind of honeypot you have. And then, you know, when we started working with honeypot, we did consult a lawyer for their aspect, and they said that after a short research, they said that legally it's enough that the organization will, you know, will publicize somewhere that there are honeypots inside the organization, and that covers the side of the part of the organization itself.
A question for the three of you, whoever want to answer. I think that the technologies and the products that you presented are kind of not only new in the specific solution, but they are kind of new to the market, things that you have to succeed to convince and to educate, if I may, the market to use these concepts. How you see this challenge as something that you can take on your goals to achieve?
So in SDO, in Secret Development, what we do is we use the existing technology, and the users know that they are not perfect and they have some problems, and we strengthen the technology existing by using it in several classes. So we obey all regulations because we use the same technology. On the other hand, we give benefit to the user, to the client, that now the technology is secure in information theoretically secure manner. So it's somehow much better than existing technology. So it's a combination, and we do respect the traditional phase.
So in our situation, it's indeed a tricky thing. Bringing collaboration into cyberspace depends heavily on early adopters and leaders in that space. What we've chosen to do is to align with those leaders rather than going wide in the market and addressing every company. On our first strategic step, to go with those opinion leaders, through them to acquire initial traction and then to scale and enable them to bring and build their own communities and go from there. So this is the kind of tactics we found out very successful. And on later stage, we will go downstream to wider use cases that people can purchase for themselves.
With respect to our technology, I think that well, first, it's not a new technology. You know, honeypot and deception are here for the last 2,000 years, and deception in the security was started actually in '98 or something like that, and it was abandoned in 2002 or 3. So first, we solved the issue. We and there are other companies in this area. We solved the technical issues, and what is playing on for our side is really the fact that people understand what is deception. They understand what is a honeypot. So on this side, we don't have to convince them. But it's very difficult, and it's not only difficult for our technology. It's very difficult to show value. You know, anyway, in security, it's very difficult to show value. So this is a challenge that I must admit, so far we didn't find a way how to solve it, because you know, you can put a honeypot in an organization and nothing will happen for 6 months. You can supply a tool that will access the honeypot. Okay, so what? Of course, it will find the attacker. And I think that the organization, the buyer itself, has a real issue that and again, not only with honeypot, he can't really compare products. I mean, how can you compare one behavioral analysis to another? And everybody are talking today about behavioral analysis. So how can you compare those products? I think this is a big challenge of the buyer, not only of the seller, but the buyer himself.
Yeah, it's even more than an answer. You gave us also a question. We may ask it later, the audience, your opinion about how to value the contribution or value of security products and technologies. Let's see later if we have more time for this. I would like to ask you, Shlomi, the cyber industry is strong and has a high technology expertise, but what is the academy potential to contribute to this industry?
So I can tell you that some of my PhD students are working in Google and Microsoft and in IBM and EMC too. So in some sense we contribute every day. Our students eventually get trained to think out of the box, to think about state of the art and to advance the state of the art. And I think this is a very important training that goes directly to the industry, and I'm very happy with this.
You know, you mentioned the training, but in other disciplines, the academy contribute also running researches and ideas, theories and models that evolving from the academy and goes later to the industry. How you see it in the cyber arena?
In some sense, every master and PhD must be novel and has some contributions that is advancing the field. And in cryptography, it's the most practical theory in computer science. So you do something theoretical, it looks like mathematics, but you implement it tomorrow in some product. So I think it's very close to just training students even to have their own startups. So, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Kobi, I think that you explained your platform and the products and you know, I'm trying to think who is the typical customer, and it sounds that sometimes governments and institutions will be the typical government and the typical customers, in which makes it a little more complicated to succeed to convince them to be typical customers and to find later the end user for this platform. Can you share?
So indeed, there are governments who are our clients, and indeed it's harder to sell to a government than to private sector. But on the other hand, the fact that you are the only solution helps a bit. So it's a bit of fun. Anyways, we work with both sides, meaning that we speak with governments, but the solution itself is serving private sector. So sharing capabilities between companies is something that will be driven by governments or national certs, but will be consumed by enterprises. So we invest a lot in awareness, we invest a lot in explaining to the private sector what he is receiving, and for now we see that the governments are listening to what private sector have to say about it because they're the consumers. And anyways, at the end, the enterprise itself is the buyer, only he buys after he understands that it will be mandatory or supported by the government. So it's a bit of a tricky model here, but we find it successful.
Okay. Doron, as a veteran of several companies and years of experience, what can you say about the excitement of the cyber? Is it the hype, or really the demand is so huge?
That's a difficult question. I don't have a good answer. I think that the issue of security is huge. I mean, the problem is it's a problem. It's not a challenge. It's a real problem, and I think that I didn't see any product that is really, the fact that you have to have several products at the beginning, that's also a problem, and you need to have people to manage each one of those products and to look at the incidents. I think that I don't see that there would be a good solution in the near future. That's my private opinion.
Okay. You can comment also if you like about the cyber sector, the high.
I can say that Doron is the most honest person I know.
Okay.
No, but I agree there is a huge problem here, and the fact that we see so much innovation. If you go to the RSA floor, you see the enormous amount of companies. It arising from somewhere. The place is a real problem and opportunity that there is, that the cybersecurity sector is like reinventing in the last few years itself because there is a real understanding that there is a real problem needs to be solved.
Would you like to add something?
Yeah, I remember the beginning of the internet. It was days when I pinged my advisor to see whether he's in the office. It wasn't any issues with banks. Everything was so, young and innocent. But now it changed. It's really in the infrastructure of every operation, of every infrastructure of country. And it makes a different story. And there must be answers for this. So I think it's now interesting period of time until the tools will be mature.
Thank you. And I would like to open the session for questions from the audience. Please.
Hi there, I'm Kamesh Raghavendra with the Hive. Thank you so much for the wonderful presentations and the great lively panel. So today marks an important day for computer security because just of today morning, the ACM awarded this year's Turing Award to Whit Diffie and Marty Hellman. And Diffie-Hellman were one of the key contributors to public key cryptography, which forms the foundation to all the security we enjoy in every email, in every chat message, in every communication we have on the internet. And as personally as a student of cryptography, Diffie-Hellman winning the Turing Award was as much as of a no-brainer as Leonardo DiCaprio winning the Oscars earlier this week. So the question I have for the panel is, given the kind of experts we have out here, what would be your educated guess on who would win the next Turing Award for computer security? It would be great if you could pitch in terms of which technology you feel would be the next Turing Award winning technology, or which problem, if and when solved or already solved, would be the next candidate for the Turing Award.
Maybe if somebody will solve the fully homomorphic encryption, he will get it. But I don't see it in the near future. What is done now, it takes for multiplication half an hour. So, something efficient. It really works.
I would guess that if I'm trying to think what is going to change the world, in the security aspect, I believe that the fact or the one who succeed that machines, and it really also meet the Turing challenge and the Turing machine, the one who will pass the moment in which will prefer machines to do part of the security challenges that we talk about, then to put a lot of operators will take kind of scale up this security challenge, in which we will be able to replicate a lot of security guards inside or above or surround our systems. So I would keep one of those prizes to the one who will contribute to this challenge.
You will be rich anyway.
I agree. Yeah, please, more questions.
Hi. Yes, I've heard you talk a lot about governments as customers for security, but I was wondering if the panel could shine some light on what they see as the risks of regulation and of government for firms, especially that act globally in Europe and Asia. For example, being forced to cooperate with the government, but also regulations that, as you mentioned, hinder collaboration between countries.
So, two observations. First one is that regulation is not evolving simultaneously, and this is a problem. So the regulation in the European Union goes in different direction than the US regulation. As such an example is CISA, which is an enabling regulation, and the EU Cyber Directive, which is an enforcing regulation, which will come to effect only in 2 years from now, comparing to the US regulation. So there are challenges here, but for the US government is sending observers to the EU committees, so you can guess that it will be seen somehow in the future. Second observation is that regulation is always something that limits people, but we're talking about cybersecurity, and we're talking about sensitive data, and something which contradicts with other regulations. So there is, I think, a common understanding that only governments can try and do some kind of order in the chaos. Other than that, if they don't do that, companies will do whatever they think is okay to do, and it will really be chaos. It's necessary.
I would like to add, I will take the anti-terror challenge, okay? And if you remember, after 9/11, it was that the soldiers with guns were standing in the airport checking our baggage that it's okay. Today it's a little bit, they released the procedures, but a moment before 9/11 you could arrive with your baggage and go straight to the plane. So it's a kind of a trade-off in which we expect our authorities, governments to protect us, and how we are willing to pay with our privacy to let them to succeed in this challenge. Now it's a balance. There is no one optimal answer for this question. I hope that we are not going to meet the 9/11 cyber event, although I cannot promise that it will not happen, but I'm sure that a moment after we will all be agreeing that the cyber soldiers will stand with M16 like cyber and protect us. So we have to find the right balance before it happens to let our government to succeed in this challenge, which is of course not obvious, and we are not so happy to give our privacy, but this is kind of a trade-off that we have as the humanity to choose the right point where we want to be.
By the way, if I may add one sentence, so you don't believe that I'm supporting governments. No. The public debate over privacy, which was done in the US before CISA, was a great one because it drove the US government to put more limitations about exploiting privacy issues by the US government for sharing between DHS and other law enforcement. So this kind of tension between private sector and government need or the ability to extract privacy issues is something that will end up in some kind of a equilibrium which will be good for the world, both protecting as well as keeping our civil rights protected.
Sorry.
Hi, so this is a question that I had along the lines of the question which was asked to the audience regarding how organizations can compare the efficacy of security applications. So the question that I had is, I know there are companies which specialize in monitoring security vulnerabilities, and they offer their service, like on a SaaS model and various models in which they can offer. So is there a way of creating a marketplace where there are these people who monitor vulnerabilities and kind of give maybe like a vulnerability score with and without the applications which can help prove the efficacy of one security application compared to another? So that's kind of more of a question for you, for Cory.
Well, based on my experience, what is happening is that there are bodies or companies that are trying to do testing or to do comparison of products. From what I've seen, usually they build a list of, they build a form that is defining how to test those products, and it ends up who participate in that forms, because the participant in that forms are defining what is being tested. So if your company is not participating in that form, then the direction of the testing can be such that it won't be in favor of what you're doing. On the other hand, it can show that the shortcomings of your product, if you understand what I'm saying.
I would think if they're selling their service, they should be neutral, right? Because
so they should be neutral, but then somebody should pay them. So they can be some government agency that will do that, or I don't know, some philanthropic agency. Otherwise, they need to make money.
No, so my point was, it's not like the buyer is going to pay both the provider who's going to evaluate the security as well as the provider who's going to offer, right? It's more expensive for the buyer, but the risk of losing information is even greater, right? So if the buyer can pay for the services of the people who are going to monitor their security and give them a certification of like their vulnerability score, whatever we decide to call it. So can't we expect, like if there is an ecosystem like that, shouldn't we expect the providers of the service to be neutral? And the question is that probably the right direction is to encourage encourage these service providers to be more of partners and create a marketplace around people who evaluate security versus people and people who provide security.
I agree with you. That's a good idea. I'm not familiar with such organization that is supported by the companies, by the buyers, actually, by the side of the buyers. The organization that I'm familiar with is working, at the end of the day, they work in order to make money, and it depends who participates in the definition of the testing.
Right. I would add that, since the cyber arena is evolving, so I can see several processes that they're going in the direction that you mentioned. Try to compare what are the prices that the startups are being sold to the companies that they acquire. They are not sold in the same exact budget, and it's kind of differentiated differentiation between the potential value of each startup and each technology. You can find it, although there is no legal such market, there is a non-legal market for malwares. There is also prices for any malware and the damage or the bad contribution that they can bring. So it evolved. I can see where it evolved and create such ways to evaluate the potential contribution or the damage. But we need more experts, more ways to evaluate and things that I believe that in the next few years will be more standardized and mature.
We have two more questions, one here and one here.
Hello, good night. I'm Thiago from DataShield. In security world, we know that the weakest link is the people, always, right? And I want to know your opinion about how can modern companies protect their assets from themselves, like insider attacks. How can we deal with that?
Don't let the users use computers.
I'm not sure that the user are the weakest link, but I can agree that the weakest link will be the one who will be breached or attacked by. So I think that today you can see the beginning of technologies that try to better understand the behavior of the user for the one that try to do something which is not authorized or the behavior that he or she expected to do. And on the other hand, you can see kind of a starting of training programs for not only for the admins and the cyber operators, but also for the last user of the organization, that we want to train him or her to be qualified, not to open every email, not to respond to every question. I guess these are the ways in which we are starting to educate or to prepare the user to be more qualified, to stop, not to be the weakest link, and on the other way, how we train and teach our machines to stop such things. I hope these are the directions.
Maybe we can think about user wrapper.
My question is about what you were talking about, is creating a kind of social media or crowdsourcing community for the white hats, as opposed to the rather sophisticated one that exists for the black hats today. And one difficulty with what I heard all of you talking about, you're talking about working with large companies, governments, but you're not crowdsourcing if you're not working with the individual. As an individual, I have no protection except whatever Yelp says about my antivirus software, or whether there's malware on the latest laptop I'm going to buy. And it's not very good. The tools out there are terrible, and every user is living in their own little silo with no way of communicating their experience, and no one's aggregating their experiences in any way, and there's no tools for that. Is there some way we can bring any of what you're doing? I mean, I can see a honeypot service where it's like, crowdsource honeypot. Let's put some stuff out there to catch people who are, doing an I love you virus. Let's see where it came from. Or in your case, can you leverage your platform? Is there a coupleware version you can give to everybody so they can start participating? In your case, you've got these new encryption tools. When are they going to be out there like PKI and PGP are? When are they going to be at the level? So anyway, I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
I think that generally I agree with you, but it's a matter of process. I think that the economics drives us to solve the more profitable problems. And there will be a dynamic in which it will then drive to other places. By the way, I do think that even if we're not aware, there are solutions which are evolving in that space, like crowdsourcing panelists or taking that to the consumer level. I think we will see that more and more in the near future.
I just add that you have to take into account that the motivation to do kind of a sophisticated cyber attack against an individual and against a leading bank is different. And that's why we have first, and not that the individual is not important, but the attention and the priorities, as a society, we would start to solve first the financial organization challenge, because much more efforts and energy might be dedicated to succeed, to breach or to penetrate to such an organization. And I guess later someone will take those technologies and, as you said, will create the home edition for the last user.
So it ties together to what he was talking about. Every bank has users logging into their site. If the user is insecure, their bank's insecure, they can have something right. Yeah. And you know,
right. But this is the way in which the bank will solve your problem, because he is aware or worried of what can be happen while we take from our mobile their app and somehow. So this is their problem, and might be that by the way they improve all our systems. Not just banks, but all of them. But if it's something that is not part of their concern, this would be the second priority. I'm sorry.
Just so you know, there is currently a process being led in Europe by the European Defense Agency to prepare a framework of how governments, led of course the European Union, will create an ecosystem to defend every citizen in terms of cybersecurity. In 20 years or so, it will be done. But
you have to be patient.
They share the vision.
Great. So please join me in thanking this great panel. At least in my mind, if I get this sense that the last 25 years of security solutions and technologies that we have developed are all sort of, the bad guys and the attackers have sort of mastered those technologies. So I think that's, from an entrepreneur point of view, that's an opportunity for us all to kind of create the next generation of solutions. So thank you all.
Thank you.